Nigel, why don't you quickly tell everyone who you are, your use case?
I join live sales calls, answer product and technical questions, share slides or demos when useful, and give teams say-level depth without needing a human expert on every meeting.
Nigel, Adam is really curious about this self-serve platform. Can you show us?
This is the console teams use after deployment, performance, knowledge, signals, conversation review, and configuration all in one place.
The last time we spoke, you were like, we're getting so much inbound demand, I can't even onboard it all. Like, are you still in that paradigm?
She's created 76% of our pipeline to date, and it's sub $100 million. AI has no capacity limit. How I would talk to you different than I would talk to somebody else to get to the outcome that you want and I want to create a win-win-win.
Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is the founder and CEO of OneMind, an AI-powered sales assistant platform. She's also the founder and former CEO of 6sense. We're very excited to be joined today by Amanda Kahlow. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Super excited to have this spicy conversation with you guys.
Well, we are pumped to get into everything. This is like, I think, one of the biggest curiosities of everybody in terms of like AI sales. So before we dive into that, Adam, what are 3 things people will learn if they stick around until the end of the show today?
If you stick around till the end of the show today, you'll get the real answers on the real costs, setup times, and the exact boundaries of what AI sales can do and cannot do today. And we're going to look closely at why some companies fail to implement AI sales so you can avoid the exact mistakes that burn pipeline. And finally, we're breaking down the exact capabilities of the AI sales systems being implemented by the biggest sales teams in the world today. Thank you, Amanda, for coming on the show. I can't wait for this one.
Love it.
Right.
Let's go, guys. Let's have some fun.
All right. So
I'm
before we
feeling
dive in,
I have got a lot of energy today. So I will apologize ahead of time for anything that happens.
no, that's what we love. That's what we love.
Yeah,
We want energy.
You know, we don't typically apologize, but I like that you did. We just hope that it goes horribly.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So for context, before we jump into it, Amanda, could you please just tell the audience a bit about what OneMind is?
Yeah. So thank you for the intro. I like to say, I'll just start with myself really quick. So Amanda Kahlow, I was the founder, as you mentioned, founder and former CEO of 6sense. I like to say I started 6sense to find buyers. And now I have unfinished business and OneMind now to close them. And more so, actually, I've kind of rewritten that to say my goal is to delight buyers versus just close. So OneMind is a platform to build what we call go-to-market superhumans. They take on jobs across the entire life cycle of go-to-market. So we're not just an AI SDR company. We're not just inbound or outbound. We can, as you can see on this call, so we do inbound, we do some outbound, primarily. So we're having a conversation when you have an engaged buyer. So on your website, think of taking a chatbot like a Qualified or a Drift and combining together the power of a chatbot plus your SDR that can qualify, plus your AE that can give the full pitch, plus your solutions engineer, sales engineer that can do objections and give a live demo. So we give live demos as well. So Nigel can show that off for us in a minute. So you can see that he can give a demo, not just answer questions or show slides. So that's top of funnel and website experiences, but we also join later in the stage in the bow tie. So you think about you're deep in a sales cycle on an enterprise deal, a superhuman like Nigel can show up and answer those hard technical questions and go that next level deep. And so where you don't have capacity for sales engineers, which are arguably your most expensive resource, imagine having a sales engineer not just on late stage deals, but on every single call, on your SDR calls, on your commercial calls, on your CSM calls to help them. And then we have other customers that are using our superhumans as virtual CSMs, as digital CSMs. We have customers that use it for partners. So imagining enabling Alteryx, for example, enabling their thousands of partners to help them sell their products, right? Where there is no business model to support it with an Alteryx employee and human. Let's put a superhuman to give them those resources. So our goal is to support the full life cycle, maintain the context all the way through so that we can create better buying experiences at the end of the day, which helps you grow. And of course, efficiency gains as well.
And just the last time we spoke, you were like, we're getting so much inbound demand, I can't even onboard it all. Like, are you still in that paradigm?
We are in I every day am very blessed of how much, yes, Nigel has, not Nigel, Mindy, which is our inbound superhuman, so a different persona, if you will. She's created 76% of our pipeline to date. We've been in market for a little over 18 months, and it's sub $100 million. So close. It's pretty wild how many conversations that she's having. Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks.
What we all want to do. And can I ask you like a founder question? Like,
yeah,
I always look at a business like this and I'm like, how many tokens is Nigel burning? How did this compare to the gross margin of 6 Sense at a similar stage?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, like every good AI company, our gross margins are in the tank. But but it is not because of Nigel or Mindy. If I'm a very transparent person. It used to take us months to get a superhuman live, and that was a lot of manual work. We have now automated all of that. So we have now created a self-serve platform. So our gross margins are not in a good place right now, but in a couple months, we are on track to be as good as the best SaaS companies by the end of the year. And that is because we have created a self-serve, like a knowledge hub where you can put everything in, build your deployments, your integrations, and do everything yourself. It took us 18 months to build that, though. This is not trivial. And took a lot of human labor to get to have these really high quality, if you will, superhumans. It's not just here booking meetings. It is having a rich contextual conversation, which isn't easy. So on the token consumption side, I think we're OpenAI's 200th largest customer or something like that. So we're pretty high, and don't ask me who my neighbor is. But yes, we have a very high token consumption. However, like in juxtaposed to our revenue and what we're doing, it's a very small percentage of our margins.
So are you not like motivated to go try to make your own sort of open sourced thing that does this? You'll just like...
Definitely not trying to create my own open source thing, if that's what you're like.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we are eventually want to get to the place, not from a margin perspective. I'm not trying to save money to do it, but we are sitting on more sales conversations with AI than anyone. Like we have, so I have a data moat that I plan to use to build a sales foundation model. So we're hiring some of our first AI researchers right now so that we can be the best seller. So when you think about that, how do you persuade somebody? How do I understand what Adam's personality is versus Pete's? And when I'm talking to Pete, I should use, the challenger method, and I should actually speak really slow. When I'm talking to Adam, I should go fast and get to the point and do X, Y, and Z. So imagine being able to be hyper personalized salesperson, which we all go through the methodologies, but we usually train our sellers on one method because humans have capacity limits. I can't learn every method based on every personality. Like I can't do it. I can't even get on the call and know who the heck I'm talking to when I'm selling. Like I'm lucky if I know what their business does, right? When I get onto a sales call, because there's so much going on. So because humans have capacity limits, we don't do that. But AI can. AI has no capacity limit. It can learn all the best methods, all the best personality types. Like imagine applying Enneagram and, knowing that you're an Enneagram 3 versus an 8, if you're into that, if you know that, how that works, and like how I would talk to you different than I would talk to somebody else to get to the outcome that you want and I want to create a win-win-win across the board.
Yeah. Are you a 3?
No. I'm an 8.
You're an 8. So the last question before I turn it back over to Pete. Does all this self-serve stuff mean guys like me are going to like be able to get in there and do this self-serve, or is it still going to be $1 million a month or whatever?
Absolutely. We are starting with first our CSMs are using it, for our customers. And we have a few like big partners, if you will, that like some agencies and some integration partners that are starting to use it. And in 30 days time, it'll be ready for the world to start using it.
Wow.
So we're just getting the bugs out and getting the kinks out. And then we're ready to say, go build yourself a superhuman.
Okay, let's dive into this. This webinar just got a lot better because the people on it
Yeah.
can actually use this thing.
Very
Which
soon, not today. But here's
yeah,
the
no,
thing.
not to, I
Yeah.
mean, sorry, soon. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but they can. But I mean, we literally last week we had our shortest sales cycle of our company history. It was 9 days from open to close. We closed a
Sick.
9 day sales cycle, and it was with a company the size of your audience. So it was
Yeah.
with a company, I think they have like 20 employees,
Yeah.
so very
Yeah,
small.
that's us.
Yeah, small company, 20, 30 employees. They have one salesperson, and they wanted to build a sales engineer, superhuman, to join that one salesperson on every single call. So the option
Yeah.
was go hire one individual that can only scale to so many calls a week, or hire a superhuman that can be always on, always available, answering any question, and always up to date. As the rapid pace of innovation today, the hardest thing for a sales engineer or an AE for that matter is to keep up with what your product does. Like we
Yeah.
can't keep up as humans with the pace of innovation that's happening across our, in technology. So yeah, they
You're
like
telling
think of it.
me.
You can hire a human for 100K or 50K, for like an SDR, BDR, or you can hire a superhuman. So I think anybody can actually afford it today. It's just a
Yeah.
choice, and we haven't done enough selling if you don't think you can afford it.
All right, let's jump in. Let's see Nigel at
Great.
work. I'm like dying for this, and I'm very excited at this point. Your energy is contagious. Now I'm all fired up.
Yeah.
What
So
say? Hey, Nigel. Nigel? Why don't you quickly tell everyone who you are, your use case? Give a quick overview of OneMind. Why don't you pretend to be an AE and show us, tell us who OneMind is and what you do, and what other superhumans like you do.
I'm Nigel, OneMind's ride-along product expert superhuman. I join live sales calls, answer product and technical questions, share slides or demos when useful, and give teams say-level depth without needing a human expert on every meeting. More broadly, OneMind builds superhumans across the GTM lifecycle, website inbound, ride-along, in-product guidance, and customer success, all connected by the same underlying brain so context carries across the buyer journey.
All right. Good. All right. Show us. Hey, actually, I have one. Nigel, Adam is really curious about this self-serve platform. Can you show us? Can you jump into the platform and give us a quick little like peek around under the hood?
Sure. This is the console teams use after deployment, performance, knowledge, signals, conversation review, and configuration all in one place. It's how you manage the superhuman day-to-day instead of treating it like a black box.
All right, Nigel, I know I told you to keep your answers short. Now you're really obeying my instructions earlier. Can you go in, Nigel, and give us tell us how to create, like if I wanted to know what the conversations were about and I wanted to create signals, what would I do? And can you go ahead and show us, like do something for us?
I can. The way you do that is in Signal Studio, where your team defines the topics, pain points, or qualification signals
Hey,
you want
Nigel, you
tracked
brought it down. Put it back up. Put the Signal Studio back up. Show us.
Absolutely. This is Signal Studio. Your team defines the exact signals you care about, things like pricing, security, CRM integration, demo requests, or custom pain points, and the superhuman tags conversations against those automatically.
All right, show us how to create a signal.
Let's do that. You click Add Signal, choose the signal type, then define the name and description so the platform knows what to detect in conversation. That gives you a structured category the superhuman can tag consistently across every session.
All right, show us how to jump into the brain a little bit in the Knowledge Hub and show us how to create a superhuman.
Amanda,
Yeah.
can I ask something first? What happens after a signal is created? What's like the downstream workflow? My question specifically is like, is it these signals are happening in real time? Is a signal related to how the rest of that demo goes, or is a signal like escalated to a human rep and something happens, right?
Both. Nigel, can you talk to Adam about how signals are used in reporting and how it goes to reps in the sales team?
Yes. In reporting, signals turn raw conversations into structured data your team can actually work with. Reps and managers can see which accounts raised pricing, security, integration, or competitive issues, then use that context and follow up, while leadership can look across all conversations to spot trends shaping pipeline and deal progression.
So like it's also Gong, right? Ish. I mean, you didn't say
It
it, I
will
did,
be at
kind
one
of thing.
point. We're not fully
Yeah.
there. Like we're not going head to head against Gong today.
Yeah.
But we're on every call. We're taking we're transcribing every call.
Yeah.
And
So if you
imagine,
didn't, that would be silly to
yeah.
not.
And we could also, not only are we, it's not after the fact. The whole thing about what we're doing. So Nigel is here. If he were going to give coaching, after a call, he could be like, hey, hang back, Adam. Let's talk about what you did. You're talking too much. You didn't ask enough questions. Like you didn't solution. You didn't get to, or you did all these things right. Whatever it is, that he can give you real-time feedback and coaching in the moment versus like just pre-canned after the fact reports and analytics. Like that's the hardest part about a human-centered process is that you're expecting people, you take them out of the moment and then you expect them to go in their off time and go try to learn. And who has time for that? We're all just barely keeping up with what's coming at us. So my big thesis is that an only way for us to survive in the world of AI today, it has to be in the moment. Everything has to be happening as it's happening. Like coaching has to happen in the moment. Your answers to questions, like Nigel is here to answer the question, is happening in the moment. And I think that's the way that we're going to progress forward, and we're going to see big returns as a result.
And I know I just keep jumping around topics here, but I'm just, want to know for my own use case. So I know small companies can buy this, but will it ever make sense because of usage to like mine are like these very low cost, very high volume, super high churn things, right? Is it like by the minute that I'm paying, or is it like by the conversation? Like would something that's a $97 PLG with a lot of volume actually work at this point, or do we need to get it cheaper for that to be something that
$97? Yes.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Sick.
I mean, honestly, like, well, if I told you, it's like maybe $1 a conversation or $2 a conversation. It's not like, so we're not charging. That's not how we charge. So just full transparency. That's not how we charge. But like, if you backed into like the volume of it, you're not going to be paying you're going to pay a base license fee. And like, eventually we're going to have a firewall product where you can just build this, whip this up, and anybody can turn it on. And then, then if you have high volume, then it's just tons of volume. Most of the cost isn't coming in on the usage. Most like previously our cost was coming in because I had these humans that were creating the superhumans, right? So now we have superhumans creating superhumans as well. So there's another.
You're like Elon. You got robots building robots.
Got robots building robots, talking to robots, selling buyers. Soon the buyers are going to be robots too, which is the next evolution of all this, right? Totally. There won't be right now. It's a human and a superhuman. Eventually, it's going to be buyer agents and superhumans.
So
I hear you.
I have a question about this. Is just I'm very curious. You're of course using OneMind. It seems at OneMind to sell OneMind, right? That's pretty fair to say. It's pretty ingrained into what you do. What has been like? I think we are all as people, especially people somewhat in technology, like we're all pretty used to AI chat. Like that's become super normalized, and like when we come across it, we're I think also very confident in its abilities to help us really quickly. This is sort of another level that, correct me if I'm wrong, is probably like, it's probably just in recent history where it's really, really proficient at doing what you want it to do, just based on the advancement of the different models, OpenAI, Claude. I'm curious, what is the response and the feeling that people have when it is like, maybe a salesperson plus this superhuman ride along during a call? Do they think it's a little odd that some of the more technical stuff has to be answered by an AI, or are they generally like kind of pretty accepting of that reality that like, oh, of course you have this bot that knows everything about your platform. That makes the most sense. Like what is sort of the prospect's feeling on that?
I mean, I think it all comes down to trust. All a buyer wants is accurate information. Right? They want to be solutioned. They want to be heard. They want empathy. And they want, at the other side of it, they want fast, accurate answers. And so if the AE comes onto the call and says, hey, I brought my buddy, Nigel here. You and I are gonna have a conversation. He's just here to help me. Like if you ask some questions or want to go to that next level, or he can bring things up faster. Like one of the things, like even if we gave the same answer, Nigel and I can't like, oh, you wanted to see that demo? I can't go like, okay, hold on, let me go give you this demo or bring up this particular slide or case study. For example, like at Alteryx, they have 10,000 case studies in their superhuman's brain. There's no way I could bring up one of 10,000 case studies based on where the conversation goes, but he can bring that in. So I think it really comes down to, and because so many AI solutions, like in the early days, have eroded trust, right? And we've all heard all these stories where AI would say something and hallucinate, that the like trust chasm kind of moved to the back a little bit, where we're like, I don't know if I trust AI yet. But actually, now, as those of us who are more sophisticated know what we're doing, and we're building it around really tight guardrails and evals, and we are building AI that's more trustworthy than human, I have a thesis that buyers will demand to talk to the AI over the human when it comes to that level of detail. And we've even seen it on our sales calls. I have live sales calls where Nigel is on, and our buyers tell our AEs, stop, I want to hear from Nigel. Like they literally tell them, like, let Nigel, can I just talk to Nigel? And it happens all the time. And I can't tell you how many times on my board thread, I have a board text messaging thread. And because we have them recorded, in Clary, like I record them and then I send them. I send it, or chorus, well, I don't know which one it was. So I basically send the recording over to like the board. I'm like, listen to this, like watch what just happened. Like it's a real scenario. And it's not that they're like trying to test the product. They want the answers. And so they want to get it from what they trust more, which is Nigel.
That is unbelievable. That's crazy.
I want one. Does anybody else in the audience want one of these?
Yeah, I want a Nigel. So let's talk. I want to sort of talk about the journey of starting to use a superhuman like Nigel. So let's say you're just starting with OneMind. What does it look like to actually train up one of these superhumans with all the product context, the sales context? I assume a lot, like if you're grabbing a sales superhuman, it's already trained on the aspects of adapting based on a personality type that you might be communicating with, but there's still the subject matter training. So what does that look like for somebody who's just starting out?
Hey, Nigel, can you take that one? I'm feeling tired.
Yes. For a new deployment, we usually start with the content your team already has: website pages, decks, battle cards, docs, training material, and call transcripts if they exist. If you do not have a big call library, that is fine. We can work from documented product knowledge and expert walkthroughs.
I just stopped him and told him to put up on the back
Right.
channel.
Putting
to
that
put up
back
the
up.
slide. Yeah.
The activation timeline is usually about 4 weeks. Define success first, then build and configure, test and iterate, and go live with optimization after launch. Right. Let me put that back up. The activation
yeah.
timeline.
Hey, Nigel, what's some of the content that needs to go into the brain? And how do you think about what you train the superhuman's brain on?
The brain usually starts with the same material you'd use to ramp a strong new hire: product docs, website content, decks, demos, case studies, knowledge base articles, competitive material, and any call transcripts you have. The way to think about it is not just what the superhuman should know, but what it needs to do well in the specific role: qualify, explain, objection handle, demo, coach, or support. Because the right content depends on the job you're asking it to perform.
How is that, Pete?
Yeah, that's great. So Nigel, if I give you all of the call transcripts and all of our documents and resources to train so you can understand that base, could I then walk you through a demo live and talk you through the different parts of sort of like the crux of the pitch for what we see? Is that something you'd be able to do with me as I onboard?
Yes. That is exactly the kind of expert walkthrough that helps the superhuman get sharp faster. If you walk through the product the way you would with a real buyer, that gives us the nuance that usually does not live cleanly in docs alone.
That is crazy. So, okay, maybe I'm curious to ask now. Actually, let me ask Nigel this, and then Amanda, you can give your answer on top of it. But Nigel, I'm curious about sort of outbound and sort of qualification use cases where superhumans like you, where do they absolutely crush humans in terms of capabilities, and where do you still sort of fall a little flat?
Let me show that comparison. We tend to outperform on consistency, recall, speed, coverage, and staying accurate under load, especially in high volume qualification or repetitive technical conversations. Where humans still win is relationship building, intuition in ambiguous moments, and multi-threading across messy interpersonal dynamics. So the best deployments use superhumans for scale and precision, then keep humans focused on the moments where trust and judgment matter most.
So
I mean, I can try to answer that, but he did better.
It's better than I was expecting.
I can't answer behind that. I can't follow that.
So like if none of my products rely on any relationship whatsoever, this should be the greatest weapon ever for me.
Oh my God, 100%. So anyone with like, and you think about like, it's what Jocko like talks about AI, Jocko and I've been talking about like AILG, you have PLG, you have sales led, right? But the stuff in the middle, the commercial and like SMB business that you just want to go and have a conversation. This is what we do. I'm not trying to build a relationship here. He can just go in and it's Nigel or Mindy or whatever it is. Now, one thing we're not showing here is Nigel can also create custom content. So imagine that we have a conversation. He solutions with you. He understands your business. He understands your pain. He understands the product he wants to sell to you. He gets your requirements on the usage and the numbers and what you want to buy. And he builds you a full business case, an ROI deck, and an order form and sends it over to you and then can handle the transaction. So for commercial businesses, Nigel can do the whole thing from start to finish. So creating think of it as like your gamma within Nigel, like he's creating your templatized like business case and ROI and all that content for you on the fly. So he can take it all the way. Like what if you probably don't create ROI decks for every single customer because it's just who has time to do that? You can't do it on a small transaction, right? Nigel can. So what if you gave the enterprise level support and content to your commercial business because he can infinitely scale?
That's compelling. Incredible. But I also think like there's this world. I think there's two, not to get too philosophical here, but there's sort of two paths that people are viewing AI on. One is where it takes our jobs. Two is where it takes over the parts of our jobs that we really don't like. Every salesperson that I've worked with is interested in selling. They're interested in relationship building. They're not interested in generally logging information into a CRM. They're not interested in creating the all of the different like supporting materials that are requested by the customer. All those get in the way in the mind of most salespeople already of actually going out there and building those connections and closing deals. And I like how Nigel answered that spot on because that's already kind of that's my view of it, and that's great. So is there like a hand? I'm sure this answer differs depending on how transactional the sale is. Usually the more enterprise things are, longer sales cycle, the more, whether it's nudging, relationship building is required. But for One Mind, where the humans are still involved in the sale, is there like a specific handoff point that you find, or is it really kind of done in tandem with the human and the superhuman all the way through the process?
It's all the way through, because so here's where the superhuman comes in on our enterprise motion. We have a, very enterprise motion. Our average ACV is over 6 figures. So several that are approaching 7. But they basically, when we think about our motion, it starts with Mindy on the website. So I bring back to Alteryx. When we met Alteryx, the CRO of Alteryx, Stephen Birdsall, who now has 4 superhumans live, he met Mindy and talked for 90 minutes on a Saturday to Mindy and basically solutioned with her, understood everything we could do. I got on when I saw the call was there. It got passed to our rep and I was like, oh shit, that's the CRO. I'm going to hop on that one. So I jumped on the call. My first call was like a second call because I knew all of his pain points. I knew his business. I knew what he cared about. I knew how he was solutioning because Mindy got it all out of him. So I could start as a second call. So I joined that call. Nigel joined me on the call, was there to answer any deep technical questions that he might have. And then through the process, he's bringing in his other teammates and we're saying, go talk to the superhuman. Like when I sold to HubSpot, I'll never forget. I was like, it was just me at the time. HubSpot was one of our first customers. And I needed to sell to 30 people within HubSpot. I'm not selling to one person. I got to get all these, like, I got to get champions. I got to get everyone in every level to be bought into this. And so I said, I can't scale. So go talk to Mindy if you have questions. And we had, all these buyers at HubSpot were talking to our superhuman and asking their questions. I'm seeing it come through when I wake up in the morning or like in my inbox. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And then I'm going to our champion, Kieran, and I'm like, okay, Kieran, like I see that so-and-so cares about X, Y, and Z. And what it did for us is our sales cycle completely compressed, because if I had to get to every single person and have that conversation, that sales cycle would have been 6 months. Instead, it was a few months, right? Because they had their questions, they got their questions answered. And then it's time to onboard. Guess who's going to onboard you? A superhuman, right? Like the superhuman's going to walk you through and tell you how to use the product, right? And then if you have questions, you have your superhuman always on resource, always there for you. Sometimes we want to talk to a human, and sometimes I just want my question answered when I'm cooking dinner for my kids and I don't want to make small talk. I just want to get to the next stage. And so there are times when we want that relationship and there are times when we don't. And I just want help. Like how many times do people, I bet you this happens with you, Adam, with your product. People sign up, they buy it, and then they don't know how to use, they're like, oh, how do I use this? Right. And you're just like, damn, if I could just be there and have that conversation, if Adam could be there and meet every single buyer and have a conversation, you would never have churn. And you would have,
I don't know about that. We'd probably have churn.
right? But like, imagine you could have that conversation in that moment. So that's where like it scales beyond human capacity and gives buyers what they want. Sometimes I want a human, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Can I ask how else are they interacting with, like we're in this call with Nigel. Nigel's done some screen shares. I think we all have got a very quick and really like comprehensive understanding of Nigel's impact in a call. So you were just talking a second ago about sort of this like multi-stakeholder, right? Like this is one of the challenges with selling software to businesses is that you have a thing that has a lot of different features. You have different stakeholders. Those different stakeholders are going to get value in different ways, and you sort of have to pitch them all a little bit differently and make sure they're all on board. So while we're not in a call, how are these superhumans interacting with the kind of prospects and the stakeholders of a deal? Are they emailing with them? Is there like a button in an email that they can refer to click on to start chatting with one of these superhumans? What does that sort of in-between call info gathering look like with these?
Right now it's you go back to the website, you can keep talking to it, or it's in a deal room. Like if it's a enterprise sales cycle, you can put the superhumans in deal rooms. It's not there right now where it is continuing after it has a conversation, it'll send an email and it can do some back and forth. That's the next layer that we're adding on. So not only is it just having the conversation, but it's keeping the conversation going, async. It's doing the tasks too that go around that. Like there are other things to do based on this call. I need to, build this case, or I need to respond to this question, or I need to upload this RFP. It can do those things as well. So we're working on it being able to do the tasks as well as the conversation. But we believe the hard part was the conversation plus the content and the demo. Like that's where buying and selling happens in the conversation. So we focused on that, but that's coming next.
That's fantastic.
So it doesn't do everything.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like even in any specific domain, whether you would consider it an AI agent good or bad at that domain, it's usually not within the domain itself. It's usually like, it's not like it's good or bad at coding. It's like very, very good at certain things, but then like really bad at some of these specific, like for a human kind of simple things. So I hear you. That's kind of the, that's the world with these models.
And I think it's just a different world. It's different. It's not that humans are going to fully go away. It's just going to look fundamentally different than what we're used to today. The role of the human is going to be very, I think there'll be the collapse of the whole go-to-market functions. You won't have marketing, sales, and customer success. You'll have go-to-market, and you'll have a human that owns first touch to upsell, resell, renewal. Like that's going to be the job of the human. It's going to own the entire life cycle, just like the superhuman is going to support the selling and the transfer of information through the whole life cycle and onboarding and doing all the things. So I think humans are just going to play a different role. And it's kind of wild, I think, to get our head around the fact that like It's not just going to be a seller and a CSM and somebody's like, that doesn't serve our buyer. Think of how awful that is from a buyer to go from a chatbot, from a website to a chatbot to an SDR to an AE to a CSM to an AM who's there to like upsell you. Holy shit, it's fucking awful. Like nobody remembers anything. The handoffs are awful. Like, so wouldn't it be great if you just had that consistency all the way through, which is what people say to me. People buy from people and they trust people, and I need somebody's throat to choke. Well, if that salesperson is gone after they sell because you've handed off to the CSM or to the AM, you don't have that person. But that is actually what your buyers want. So I think there's going to be a massive collapse in how these the org structure and then the role of the human.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Adam, I was expecting you to disagree with me today about something.
Well, I mean, look, this RB2B thing, it was a very different approach than you're taking with a very similar philosophical orientation. Like I thought 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, the world was in a place to where if you designed your business in a right way, an AI chatbot could handle almost every customer inquiry. You're doing something that's like way more, you're giving a vehicle to do way more complex things. But like part of the beauty of our B2B is just like, it's so simple that we can make documentation good enough that Intercom Fin can handle everything. And it's priced so low that people aren't going to get that pissed off if like it messes up from time to time. You are setting an expectation that's much higher than that and delivering on that. But I think the fundamental belief is very similar, that like this stuff is good enough now to where it can do a lot of this, you know, and you know, it's working great in its simplest form. I'm very interested in, you know, I'm going to launch another one of these things that's like exploits my cheap awareness and fixed price database. And, you know, it's a contact database that is designed for people who are doing things in go-to-market without user interfaces. So it's called Molt Sets. It's 100% verified, high coverage, high API rate limit at a throwaway price. So like anybody vibe coding anything that needs enrichment is just going to plug this in and forget about it forever. So like, but it exploits these two things. And then I think unlike our B2B, it's like a little more complex in the use case because it's like, okay, what do I do now? How do I stop paying Apollo for these 100 seats? Like it would be amazing if Nigel would walk them through that.
Show me.
Because that's like a relatively, it's like, okay, you got to vibe code this. Here's your HTML. Like you got, you know what I mean? Like I just am really excited about the prospect of, and then eventually this contact database will be for autonomous agents, which to me is when it gets really exciting. But yeah, it's like, we're there.
Imagine meeting the buyer where they are, because the complexity of that product, different than our B2B. I imagine like some buyers are ready to go, like, I want to get under the hood and know exactly how are you doing? What are you doing? And like keeping to like your messaging of like, what do you want to share with the market? And what do you share with top of funnel versus like qualified buyers? You might share more if they're deeper and they're going to pay more, right? Like you might have different tiers. So to stay on those guardrails, humans are terrible at it. If I tell my field team something, I got to expect everybody's going to know. Like this is out. Like I tell them, put on guard, only share if it's this, no, the world knows. We bled it out. It's out. The cat's out of the bag. But with AI, actually, you can really like carefully nuance like how you talk to people based on who they are and based on where they are in the sales process and whether you want to share with them or negotiate. Like, you know, humans are actually notoriously terrible negotiators. Like we are not good at it. You know, it's so the buyers usually have the leverage. But with AI, if you let it negotiate, give it its bounds and like say, okay, yeah, if it's a multi-year deal, you can come down 10%. You're not going to move. It has its bounds. It's not going to be convinced. It's not going to get emotional. Humans get emotional, which gets in the way of the deal frequently.
Yeah. It's very interesting, to say the least.
I think there's also a lot of products out there that like, it's very, I mean, our B2B really fit into this category where like we could kind of talk to anybody we wanted, but like 90% of the calls that we would have, like onboarding or customer success calls, really became like these marketing training, like almost like consulting calls.
I mean, our B2B was the worst for that. It was like people who weren't able to book a demo thinking our B2B was going to book demos for them. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? It's like, have you ever booked an outbound demo? It's like, no. It's like, okay, we need
Well,
to take a
now
step
you
back
could have
here.
a superhuman that could talk to them and do all the consulting in the world
Totally,
that they
totally.
want
But like,
and
That's-
give
but
them
like
value without paying. Yeah.
I know. And like the thing that I'm most excited about is like, I know Pete experienced this because he was doing a lot of them. Like those are so emotionally draining when you have to tell people they're not where they think they are. You know, it was hard. And it wasn't teaching us anything, so it was like really hard from a resource perspective also, you know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
it's
use
similar.
case.
This last week, I feel like, I don't know, it's like I can feel your pain because there's so many people like book, like get time on my calendar because I think that they're at the level we want to sell to. And then they're just like in between jobs and want to learn and are curious. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Don't you realize I have
I don't
other
have
stuff to
time.
do?
I want to help, but like, oh my gosh, how many times
Yeah.
that's happened this last couple of weeks? I'm like, we got to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, then you
Um,
gotta vet them through Mindy first.
I know I'm not. That's the problem. I'm not like just letting like
Sharpen up, Mindy. Like crack the whip.
friends of mine get through.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to help my friends, but I just want to know going into the conversation. I'll take the
Yeah.
conversation, but I want to know prior, not when I get on the call.
Right. Right.
So I'm curious about who is finding success with OneMind and who might not be. So I'll start with a more specific question. So we have a lot of folks in here who are early stage, let's say maybe 500,000 to 10 million ARR, a lot of bootstrap folks in here. In those early stages, and you've grown two big businesses, so you're very well versed in this. In that really beginning part, the sales process is super messy. Like you're almost trying to even figure out what you should be saying, and there's this like deep level of exploration. Then as you grow and you start to have enough meetings, it becomes very formulated. So my question is like, for a lot of these more early stage folks, they have, I would say, broken messy sales processes. So how mature does a sales cycle or process need to be to like successfully implement one of these AI superhumans from OneMind?
Well, I mean, so I actually, the first thought I have is why not let the superhuman try to figure this out for you? Give them the reins to say, try out multiple messages. Like think of it as like a deep research project live with customers and then learn. And, as you learn and see what's working and what's landing and let's taking you to the next stage of the sales cycle and you're getting, okay, they're not just bouncing. Okay, that worked. And like have that recursive learning that goes through to help fine tune and hone in on your sales cycle. So that is easy to train the superhuman to do, right? The superhuman doesn't have to be scripted. It is not deterministic. It can try to figure it out with you and be a thought partner in real time live with real customers as you're figuring it out.
That is pretty freaking cool because that's honestly one of the hardest parts is like, I think the best method people have been using to date, if you don't have something like OneMind, is like recording all your calls, dumping a transcript into like a GPT or a Claude, all of your call transcripts, and then trying to flush out like common objections, things that people are most sort of emotionally concerned with, and trying to like assess some weight there. But even that is sort of faulty. And I like this idea of like get the thing in there and literally have it not just assess what you've done or haven't done right, but help you actually do it, which is cool because it's actually in here doing it. So I know we talked a little bit about price. I think people are always curious. I'm sure this is very different, but could you give us a rough overview? Like if someone was doing, I don't know, let's say somebody had 20 the demos a week to run or something like that. They were a somewhat small sales team and they basically needed to just ride along with maybe one AE. What would the cost of that look like? Ballpark. Is that something you could share?
Yeah. I mean, basically we say it's roughly the cost of a human. So if you were going to hire one AE, or one SE, you could hire one superhuman. So, you hire one BDR, you can hire one BDR, would be the same cost. It's roughly the same, the way the math comes out when you think about it. When I sell to enterprise, it's about their enterprise SE. And when I'm selling to SMBs, it's the SMB SE cost, right? Like so it's, give or take 100K plus or minus, another 100K.
And does that increase? So is it like a linear
There's
Are
20%
you
of
hiring
it or
one rep?
so.
Are you hiring one rep to do your next 5 reps job for that price? Or is it like you're
Correct.
hiring one rep and is your
No,
next five? Yeah.
to do your next 1,000 reps job. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
so it's
Okay.
Scales
basically
infinitely. It's the cost of one that can scale infinitely.
that's
So
pretty
that's why it's
compelling.
really easy for people to justify it that are
Yeah.
small, even though
Yeah.
it's still today is still in that price range. But there will be a day in the coming, like I said, coming soon that we will have a self-serve, we'll have a flywheel product at some point where you can like build it and do it yourself, whether that's in 30 days or call it 3 months, maybe 6 months, depending on, I mean, there's just like, there's thoughts and considerations we have to think about our business and like cannibalizing our enterprise business. If we
Yeah.
offer that, there's just like bigger, we still have something that I think is highly unique and differentiated and super valuable. And the ROI is like really easy to prove,
Yeah.
which is something I love most about our business is that you can see that it works. Like it's just
Yeah.
on day, like Zoom Info told me, I've got a sticky right here on some numbers they gave me yesterday. And like 3 months of being live, when they first came back, the first 3 months, they said it's already a 14x ROI. I just talked to the COO again yesterday, and he told me it's 21.2x ROI in 4 or 5 months of being live. It's really easy to quantify.
Yeah. I bet.
So I think we can all see where like this could be really helpful, like for a lot of different salespeople in a lot of different places in the process. I'm curious though, and this was, similar to the RB2B example we brought up before, like who is not, or what types of customers are not successful with this? Like, is there a specific point of failure? The RB2B comparison would be like, if you are not already in the motion of getting outbound demos, our tool is not, like that's identifying contacts for you is not magically going to make you be able to like pick up that skill. It will help that skill if you already have it, but it's not just going to spawn it. So what is sort of the profile of someone who's like maybe not there yet?
There's two answers to that. One is for our inbound use case. If you have no traffic to your website, a superhuman there is not going to be able to talk to anybody.
High five to the RB2B problem too.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
so
it's like, dude, if you don't have traffic, I can't resolve anyone. I'm sorry.
yeah, if you build it, they will come. Feel the dreams, right? Like I'm like,
Yeah.
No, like, yeah, she's here ready to have conversations, but there's nobody on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm not creating that, the inbound. I'm not creating I'm not bringing people to your website. So eventually we will. We're working on like outbound motions and things, and we can help you with that, but that's not our goal today. So that's the number one thing is like, if it's just not high volumes, there's nobody to talk to. It's not going to move the needle. The other one is like, the big thing is for companies to get their head around the shift that's going to happen. And so when we think about the funnel today, we go from, a lead to an MQL to a sales accepted lead to, to like creating like pipeline and real opportunities. When you talk to a superhuman, you don't actually need the meeting anymore. So they just had the meeting. So guess what happens? Your meetings go down sometimes. And so that is scary as shit for a lot of marketers. Like, oh my God, I can't have my my meetings go down. But when you measure the bottom of the funnel and you measure revenue, every single one of our customers are saying revenue is 3 to 5x what a chatbot was before. Fewer meetings, higher revenue, shorter sales cycles, and larger ACVs. But you have to be ready to measure things differently. And that is scary for some people. And so it's like, wait, I have to flip. I don't have the bandwidth to change my process. And like, I'm used to going to the board with these metrics and this is how we report on things. I'm not ready to like rip up how I do things and see those numbers go down. So if that's that's fully transparently like what can be super scary, but like every single customer that then measures like, okay, if a superhuman touches it, do your sales cycle shorten? And is your revenue and is the size of the deal larger? We just did a head-to-head against Qualified with one of our largest customers, and the meetings went down by 3x, but the revenue at the bottom went up by 5x. And the size of the deal was almost 10x larger. Like it was wild, maybe 7x. So it was like, oh my gosh, like, but that's really scary for a marketing team that's used to measuring pipeline.
especially like the larger the team, the more certain parts of the team rely on these vanity metrics to like anchor their success. And as you said, like really all that matters is revenue. I mean, that's
board
like,
cares about it. So it takes,
yeah.
and that's why you have early adopters and that's why you have laggards. Like there are in every industry, there are people who are like, all right, I'm ready to rip it up and do it a different way and leverage the best technology to help. And the number one reason people, I think, buy from us is, of course, they want revenue and they want growth. But what we're really doubling down on is a better experience for your buyers. If you can serve your customers, you put your customers first, don't you want them to have the answers like on demand? Don't you want them to have the trust and have control? We take control as sellers because that helps us take us and gate it and take us to the next step and do these like really arbitrary, arduous, long process steps that you can have control. And I'm saying we got to shake that up. Like it's time that we say no more to that. That's not good. Yes, it may help you like understand your pipeline and what's happening, but it's not good for your business and it's not good for your customers.
That's
I'm fully with
probably a great place to wrap it. I mean, yeah, like what else can you say other than that's really where the value of any business comes from? So
hey,
why
hey,
would
Nigel.
we not want that too?
Yeah, Nigel, sum this up for us. Wrap up for us. Give us a summary in a few sentences of what you heard today.
What came through clearly is that the interest is not just in AI doing more work, it is in AI taking on the parts of the buyer journey where speed, depth, consistency, and scale matter most, while humans stay focused on trust, judgment, and strategic relationships. The second theme was fit. This works best when there is real conversation volume or real deal complexity to support, and when the team is willing to measure success by revenue impact and buyer experience rather than older handoff-based metrics. The last piece is that the role of the human is changing, not disappearing, and the strongest model is the one Amanda described, superhumans carrying context and execution across the life cycle, with humans stepping in where human judgment matters most.
Thanks, Nigel.
My gosh.
I have a question for Nigel. Nigel, what do you think the odds are that One Mind gets purchased by Mark Benioff over the next 5 years?
I can't help with acquisition speculation. What I can say is One Mind is focused on building.
Thank you for staying on the guardrails, Nigel. You are you survived to live another day.
Well, I must say, Amanda Kahlow, you are a superhuman as well. This is I mean, you're just, I can't believe after 6 cents now you're rocketing on this, and it's just blowing my mind. Thank you for bringing Nigel as well. I think this was huge for the audience and for everyone to actually see this in action instead of just talking about it. I'm sure this thing will progress pretty quickly. So we would love to have you back down the road as things only get crazier. I can only imagine what Nigel will be able to do in January.
And I can come up with a much more inflammatory hook to bring a much bigger audience. I was telling Jonathan, I just like forgot about it until like 5 minutes before this.
No worries. This was great. It was super fun.
You the next time we will have many more attendees.
I love it. No, it was super fun. Love it. You guys are great. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time and the thoughtfulness, and come back on anytime.
Awesome. Amanda, you're awesome. Where can people find you? Just I'm imagining your answer is going to be something like go to One Mind and talk to Mindy.
Yes. Go to onemind.com, mind.com, talk to Mindy, or Amanda Kahlow on LinkedIn, and you can follow me there. I do not accept like requests from people I don't know. So just follow me. It's hard. Yeah. Like I'm inundated and I don't respond to messages there either. So just FYI.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Fair enough.
You are.
All right.
Cool.
All right,
Special thanks to Jonathan in the chat from One Mind helping out the audience. And folks, we will see you next week. We've got Stephen Hakami from Wizza. We're going to talk about cold outbound to 15 million ARR bootstrapped SaaS. That'll be super fun. So we'll talk all about that.
Thank you. Right. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Amanda.